Forget climbing the ladder. We're actually taking the express elevator.
Huh,
No, down. But maybe with a severance package waiting at the bottom.
exactly.
Welcome to the deep dive. This week, we're looking into a pretty unconventional strategy, basically aiming for severance instead of that next promotion.
Yeah, our sources dig into what some might call the art of strategic incompetence. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And the core idea these sources raise is, why kill yourself striving for the next rung when maybe, just maybe, you could engineer a nice exit package? A golden parachute, perhaps?
Precisely. How do you, let's say, fail upward just enough that HR wants to have a chat about mutual separation? What's the absolute minimum you need to do?
Right. So today we're going to unpack this. We're talking controlled demolition of your own productivity, how you might actually use a performance improvement plan to negotiate severance, and even understanding quiet firing from the employee's side.
The big theme seems to be, as one source rather bluntly puts it, failing our way to freedom.
Okay, let's get into it. But we should be clear, right? This isn't about, gross misconduct or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely not. It's presented as a much more nuanced game, a kind of gradual slowdown. And the sources start laying this out with the first stage, the slow sabotage, from high potential to HR problem.
Okay, slow sabotage. I like it. So phase one involves something called the selective amnesia technique.
Selective amnesia.
Like consistently forgetting to run that one important report every single week. Whoops.
Exactly. It looks like a small slip-up at first.
Right.
Plausible deniability, right? But make it a pattern.
And suddenly you're just unreliable.
You got it. And there's a pro tip here, too, according to the sources.
Yeah.
Blame the tech. Oh, the new system update must have,
Yeah.
make IT the scapegoat.
Ah, classic. Leveraging corporate complexity. It introduces just enough doubt, doesn't it? Diffuses blame.
It really does. Okay, so after amnesia, we get phase two, where things get a bit more creatively obstructive. The malicious compliance gambit.
Malicious compliance. Okay, I think I know where this is going. Following every single rule to the absolute letter, even when it makes no sense.
Bingo. Like the example they give, CCing, 47 people on a lunch invite? Because technically, no rule says you can't.
Right, you're following the written rule, but completely ignoring the spirit, the unspoken norms of how things actually get done efficiently.
It grinds things to a halt. And the other suggestion, scheduling all your meetings for 4:45 p.m. on Fridays.
Oof. That's just exquisitely annoying. Subtle disruption indeed. You become the source of constant low-level friction.
Exactly. And the final part of this slow sabotage phase, the corporate jargon black hole.
Ah, yes, where meaningful communication goes to die.
Pretty much. Just respond to every actual question with impenetrable buzzwords. Let's circle back after we synergize our KPIs to leverage core competencies.
Going forward until people just stop asking you things.
Yeah, they just give up. You've created this wall of jargon.
It's actually quite clever. You sound busy and important, but you contribute nothing concrete.
Okay, so let's say these subtle tactics aren't quite getting you that gentle nudge towards the door. What's next?
Well, this is where the sources say you might pivot using the Performance Improvement Plan, or PIP.
Right, the dreaded PIP,
Yeah.
often seen as the first step towards getting fired, but here, it's a tool.
Potentially, yes. A strategic turning point. Option one is called the overcorrection.
Okay, overcorrection. What does that look like?
Suddenly you become the most diligent employee ever, but only when it comes to documenting your own work.
Ah, I see. So you flood your manager with these incredibly detailed daily self-evaluations.
Pages and pages, like War and Peace level reports on, how you organized your emails that morning. The goal is just to overwhelm them.
The sheer volume becomes a problem. It makes you look like you can't prioritize,
No,
ironically.
exactly. Okay, option two is different, the hostage negotiation.
Hostage negotiation.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Here, you express total enthusiasm for meeting all the PIP goals. However, there's always a however.
You provide a list of absolutely essential resources you'll need, an utterly unrealistic list.
Like what? A personal assistant, a supercomputer, that company jet you mentioned.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
Whatever makes it clear that success is impossible without massive, unreasonable company investment, it reframes your potential failure as their fault for not providing enough support.
Shifting the blame. Clever. And option three.
Option three, the HR bingo.
HR bingo. Okay, I have a feeling I know what's on this card.
You probably do, casually dropping certain trigger phrases into conversations.
But let me guess. Hostile work environment.
That's a square.
burnout.
Definitely.
And the classic, I think I might need to consult my attorney.
Bingo. Just planting those little seeds.
Seeds of legal doubt.
Exactly. These phrases, even if used casually, tend to get HR's attention very quickly. They signal potential trouble, maybe more trouble than just dealing with poor performance.
Makes sense. And the sources had another tip here too, didn't they? Something about recordings.
Ah, yes. Recording your one-on-one meetings. Not necessarily the content, but making sure to include plenty of dramatic sighs.
Sighing.
Seriously.
Apparently, creates that potential lawsuit vibe, adding an audio layer to the supposed distress.
Wow. Talk about building a narrative. Okay, but what if the company doesn't go for the severance route? What if they start talking about firing you for cause? That negates the package, right?
Right, that's the danger zone. So the sources suggest having some emergency excuses ready, contingency plans.
Okay, backup excuses. Like what?
First up, the undiagnosed ADHD shield.
Suddenly realizing that, gosh, maybe your lifelong trouble focusing isn't just you, it's a condition.
Precisely. And you immediately announce you're exploring accommodations.
Which brings in a whole layer of HR process, maybe legal requirements. It slows everything down.
It buys you time, complicates the for-cause narrative. Okay, next excuse. The family crisis wildcard.
But not a major crisis, right? Something less verifiable. Exactly. Not something requiring bereavement leave, but maybe the deep emotional devastation caused by, say, the death of a third cousin's hamster.
A hamster, really?
Hey, grief is grief. Enough to plausibly explain why you're suddenly distracted and underperforming, but not enough to require proof.
Okay, hamster grief. Got it. And the last one?
The old reliable. The mysterious chronic condition.
Vague, difficult to diagnose.
You got it. Maybe your doctor says stress makes it worse. Cue some subtle neck rubbing or temple massaging during difficult conversations.
Introduce just enough medical uncertainty to make firing you seem potentially problematic, maybe even discriminatory.
That seems to be the idea. Make the path of least resistance for the company a mutual separation with severance.
It's quite the strategic tightrope walk. Now, we actually got a story from a listener about this kind of thing, a listener hack.
Oh yeah, this one's good. Real-world example.
So this listener, let's call them Accidental Al, was apparently drafting a document. Title was something like Dream PTO Policy.doct. But inside, Al had also apparently outlined their ideal severance terms. Just brainstorming, right?
Right. Planning ahead.
Well, Al meant to email this draft to their personal account. Instead, accidentally sent it straight to their boss.
No.
Yes, with the severance wish list just sitting there.
What happened?
Offer on the table within 48 hours.
Wow. Talk about an unintentional power move. Sometimes just putting it out there works, I guess.
Apparently so. Accidental transparency for the win. And speaking of putting things into practice, we also have a listener challenge inspired by all this. We're calling it Severance Speedrun Bingo.
Ah, okay, I like this. A fun way to track if maybe, just maybe, these tactics are having an effect, or if your workplace is just generally dysfunctional.
Could be either. So let's run through some key squares on this bingo card. You get to mark one if your manager audibly sighs when your name pops up in their inbox.
Oh, that heavy sigh. Yeah, that's definitely a square.
Okay, another one. HR starts CCing the legal department on totally routine feedback emails about your work.
Ooh, yeah. That escalates things. Legal gets involved, it means they're thinking liability, not just performance.
Here's a potentially positive one, depending on your perspective. You stop getting invited to meetings you used to attend.
Described here as bliss. Mark that square.
Definitely bliss. And the classic, you're asked to meticulously document all your processes.
Ah, the old train your replacement task. Big red flag. Or bingo square in this case.
What else? How about when your coworkers start pulling you aside whispering, "What's your secret?"
Huh. Yes, when they notice you seem to be thriving, or at least surviving, while doing noticeably less, that's a square.
And the bonus square, for the truly bold or perhaps just those working from home for too long.
Let me guess, something Zoom-related.
You stopped wearing pants on Zoom calls, and nobody has noticed. Or at least nobody said anything.
If you hit that square, you might already be halfway to freedom. A certain level of benign neglect has been achieved.
It's funny, but these little indicators do reflect a real shift, don't they? A change in how you're perceived and managed, or maybe unmanaged.
Exactly. It suggests the strategic incompetence, as the sources call it, might be taking root.
So as you navigate, the complexities of work today, maybe keep some of these unconventional ideas in the back of your mind. As our sources suggest, The best exits aren't always the ones you climb towards. Sometimes they're the ones you strategically engineer.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. And maybe it raises a question for you listening. Looking at your own workplace, what subtle shifts, what tiny adjustments might possibly lead towards a conversation about
Yeah.
a mutually beneficial goodbye? Intentionally or not?
Definitely something to ponder.
Food for thought.
And speaking of unconventional career moves, for our next deep dive, we're tackling something truly audacious. How to fake a promotion at a company that no longer exists.
Oh, wow. Okay, that sounds ambitious.
It's going to be quite the exploration. You won't want to miss it.